Unfinished Business television fans. Show your love for all things retro and movie magic by grabbing some awesome gear from 80sts.com. Your go-to spot for the best nostalgic t-shirts from your favorite movies, TV shows, and pop culture classics. Use promo code UBTV at checkout to save on your order and support Unfinished Business television. While you're at it, relive the classics or the memories. Shop now at 80sts.com with code UBTV.
Today, we're going to talk to the amazing actress Cynda Williams, who has been working since the late 1980s, at least on film. And she is an unfinished business favorite who started her career blazing up the screen with her first film, Mo Better Blues, and then following it up with the critically acclaimed One False Move. And throughout her career, she has just made so many classic performances in movies, such as the miniseries Tales of the City, Caught Up, a fan favorite film, and just so many other films. And now she is moving into producing and writing, hopefully directing. And she's just an amazing woman who speaks her truth and is just amazing, still captivating. And we hope you enjoy this following interview. I think you will. And stick around because there she will tell you how you can follow her and keep up with her.
Cynda, thank you so
Mhm.
much for coming on to our show. Jeff and I have been following your career since Mo Better Blues and One False Move.
Mhm.
So you've been a big part of our lives as well as many filmmakers and aspiring actors. So, like I like to ask a lot of people that come on to us, what got you started in the business?
Oh, well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really glad to be here with you. I knew from a very early age that I wanted to do entertainment. I started as a singer. My uncle was a professional singer, and I had some trauma as a child, so I was very introverted, almost nonverbal. And so to bring me out of my shell, my uncle would sing with me and teach me songs. And I never fully grasped the art of playing piano, but trying to teach me how to play the piano. And that started to pull me out of my shell. It was a way I found I could express myself. And also, I would talk to myself out loud a lot. So I had chores, all these boys, my brothers, my male cousins. So back in those days, the girls stuck with the girls, the boys, well, I was the only girl. So I spent a lot of time alone and talking to myself. And so I would have full conversations being myself, and whoever I was talking to, I would talk for both of us. And and create these scenarios, usually if something upset me or something made me happy or any kind of heightened emotion, I would have a full conversation about it. And I think that really began my acting journey. I didn't know it. It was self-healing, actually. Um, but singing in school, singing in church, eventually was a natural transition into acting. And I was a natural at it because I've been doing it my whole life, and I'm a creative person. So that's where it really began for me.
So you wanted to initially start in music from what I saw in another podcast, right? Before you got into acting?
Well, that's what I felt more comfortable with because I'd been singing my whole life, and I'd gotten very comfortable singing publicly. You have family, you have a talent, at least back in those days, they throw you out there and say, "Do it." And so I was constantly singing in front of family, and then that transitioned into church. My grandfather was a pastor. So whenever we were in Indiana, because I lived in Chicago at the time, it would be expected that I sing with the choir, sing, and then I would do solos and stuff like that. And that was the main thing I did. Acting actually didn't really start taking a hold of I didn't get that bug until really I'd done some stuff in high school. I had a phenomenal English teacher that ran the theater program at my school in Muncie, Indiana. And she recognized talent in me right away. So she started casting me in musicals and then also doing plays. And, to the dismay and the disdain of many of the parents and their children, because by that point I'd moved to Indiana and it was a wealthy white school. And so, this they couldn't tell what I was. This girl comes and she starts taking all the roles as far as they're concerned. So she had a lot of angst against her, but she didn't care. And so that's when I started acting. But I really knew I wanted to do it when I did. I played in what's it called, West Side Story, in my freshman year. I played Maria, and I loved it. It was such a beautiful experience. I was like, okay. But I always still considered myself a singer that acted all the way up till after Mo Better, because when I did Mo Better, I did both. I was a singer that acted. And One False Move was my next movie. And that was straight acting. That's all there was to it. And I loved the experience so much. And honestly, the environment and the lifestyle of a musician and singer was very different than the lifestyle of an actor. I could have more control being an actor of my surroundings. I was a church girl, and I was not a partier. I'd never been. I'd only started drinking when I turned 23, and I got drunk once, and that's the last time in my life. And, I just wasn't a party girl, and I was extremely shy. So music for my personality wasn't a great fit, even though I love to sing. So I just went into the acting door, and then I became an actor that sings. And so that's kind of how that happened.
Now, let me just say that I remember when I saw Mo Better Blues, and I saw even in the trailer, I was shocked because I knew your character was a singer, and I thought, oh well, that's how she's making all her money. But then there's a scene where you're working at the Wiz, and I don't know why, but I was just like, why is she working there? Like she's a singer, that should pay the bills. So that was like my first glimpse into more of an artistic lifestyle, and like it's great if you can get the money, but you also sometimes have to have a backup job, and so. But
Yeah, that's true. It remains true. Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
and I just wanted to say that before my next question. But
Mhm.
with Mo Better Blues, how did you get that role or the casting of that come about?
Well, I had just moved to New York City from Indiana after I graduated from college with a theater degree. And first I lived in Connecticut for a few months. And then my roommate and I finally found a place in Queens. And then we moved to Manhattan. It was like boom, boom, boom. And I right away started auditioning, because I knew that's why I wanted to be there. I thought I was going to do Broadway. That was my plan. I had no thought or intention of being a film actress because I wasn't even a big movie watcher because I was always busy doing a play or singing. And so I had seen, um, I'd seen She's Gotta Have It, and I'd seen School Days because a guy that I dated in college told me about it, and he did watch movies, and so that was the first introduction to Spike Lee I had. And I really related to the school days, considering my experiences. Even though I didn't go to a Black college, my from kindergarten through 8th grade was all Black, and then I moved to the all white. So I had both experiences, but I related to that colorism issue that they really dealt with in that movie. It was very difficult to navigate that life. But I right away auditioned for my first off Broadway musical. Got that within 2 months of moving to New York. And I was working at a restaurant as a hostess and a bookkeeper. And every night people would come in and say, "Are you auditioning for Spike Lee's new movie?" And it's called A Love Supreme. That was the working title. And I was like, "No, I'm not a movie actress. I don't know anything about that stuff." And it just kept happening. People would bring me, the information. I guess they had already auditioned people in New York, LA, and in Chicago already. And they just couldn't find who they liked for that role. And they were like, "I think it's you. You kind of fit the character, or the description of who she is. It sounds just like you. You don't really have to act. You just got to be yourself." So after that happened multiple times, I got the information out of the Hollywood. Was it the Reporter? I don't know if it was I don't think it was a Hollywood Reporter. I can't. Backstage. It was in Backstage, and I found out where the casting director was, and I just went over there one morning. I told my job, who knew what I wanted to do, and I'd already been supporting me. They saw my other show and stuff. And I just went, and long story short, I got there at 8 a.m. when they said that the offices were open. And it turns out it was a casting office for multiple casting directors in a circular thing. And there was this big couch in the middle, a circular couch that I just sat on it and waited. And ended up waiting till about 11:30. And all those casting directors were so impressed with the fact that I was comfortable and not complaining and not upset about waiting. So that Robbie Reed came in, they were like, "Give this girl a chance. She's been sitting here, and really give her an opportunity." So she told me this, and I was expecting a man, Robbie, but it was a woman. And so I was like, "Okay, well, cool." And she said, "Well, the auditions are tomorrow." I was like, "Oh my gosh." She goes, "But since you've been here and waiting, why don't you do something with me?" So I said, "Okay." So I ended up singing for her and then reading one of the scenes with her. And she was like, "Yeah, yeah, come back tomorrow." So I went back, and it was a cattle call, and I got in line with all of the other couple hundred people. And when I went in, it was Spike this time, and Robbie asked me to sing the song from the day before and another song, and I did. And then they gave me the scene, and this time I'm reading with Spike, who's got the camera. Well, I don't know anything about that stuff. So I'm looking straight into the camera as I say the lines. And then he afterwards, he goes, "Okay, okay, okay, that's cool. Now, have you ever auditioned for a movie before?" And then, "No." He goes, "Oh, okay, okay. Don't look at the camera, look at me." I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry." And so that was the beginning. And it took me six auditions and 6 weeks to finally get the "Yes, it's your role." So, but the whole time I was auditioning, Spike was calling me every day, asking me questions about the character, who she was, and he really developed the character based on our conversations, like the fact that she actually worked at Tower Records, that she who she was came from me. A lot of that stuff got edited out of the movie, but it was really great to have it in my person when I was playing my roles, because all of that work informed the character.
So now this is your debut film. You hadn't done any film experience before this. You're working with Denzel Washington, just coming off of an Oscar. You're working with Wesley Snipes, who's like a year away from New Jack City. Given
See,
that period, yeah,
none of that is true. Denzel was not coming off of an Oscar. He had done a television show, and he'd done one movie. He had shot Glory, but it had not been released yet
I
when we
see.
did that
Okay.
movie. As a matter of fact, I went to the premiere of it. So it was before he was Denzel Washington. Wesley, New Jack City, he wasn't being considered until Mo Better Blues for New Jack City because I was considered for New Jack City.
Really? Wow.
The only real big stars at that point was Spike because Do the Right Thing had come out during the audition process. It came out. So that exploded. The Totoro brothers were kind of getting a name. Samuel L. Jackson wasn't Samuel yet. Robin Harris was maybe the biggest star in it.
Yeah.
He was huge. Giancarlo had done more Broadway than anything. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody knew who any of us were yet. There were some girls who thought Denzel was cute from his television show, but they didn't know him yet. Nobody knew any of us. We were all babies. We were all beginning. Denzel had a little bit more cachet because people had seen him before. He was up and coming, but he still wasn't him yet. Wesley wasn't anybody yet. None of us were anybody yet. And all these people became somebodies, but people confuse the timing of things. This is before, and I have to give it to Spike, and Spike is not truly a writer. He used, at least in those days, used to write his scripts. His actors wrote the scripts because it was all improvisational, and he would write down everything, and then that's what we do. He had phenomenal designers around him. So he didn't really need to be really great at directing. He just needed to know what he wanted his vision to be. But what he was a phenomenal producer. He could spot talent in every part of the process. He Ernest Dickerson to be the cinematographer and Ruthie Carter to be the designer. All of us were newbies, including the designers. We were all young. We were all just starting out. But he had the most amazing eye for talent. And he put a great group of people, and most of those people went on to just have phenomenal careers. And so Spike's very good at seeing what other people might not.
Mm. Well, considering you were all pretty much beginning at the time, would you say that since you were, I guess, kind of more fresh to movie acting, would you say that the actors around you was more of a collaboration and they helped you to more develop your acting skills for the camera?
No. They were, many of them, method actors. So they were in character all the time. They were not very demonstrative when it comes to teaching me anything. I had to learn on my feet. And it was interesting because I started professionally acting in theater before that, through school and stuff, and regional theater, that kind of stuff. And I didn't know anything about film. So I literally was learning on my feet. I would go to the set. When I'm not working, I was there because I had to learn. And nobody was teaching me anything. I wasn't directed at all. I was never given direction, except for get on your mark. And that was pretty obvious what that meant. But all my acting for film came from doing it. But it was interesting because the casting directors that I would often audition for in Chicago before I came or went to New York, they would all say to me, "You'll never work here because you don't look Black and you don't look white and you're not Spanish. So you should go to either LA and New York where they'll deal with people that look like you." But they would always say, "But you should really consider film because you have a natural ability that is you act with your face." And the way a lot of theater actors don't do, because theater actors have to be bigger to be seen across. But they told me I was subtle, that my eyes spoke volumes, and that I really needed to consider. So I don't know where it came from. It was just a natural ability that I had to learn about myself on my feet. But it wasn't until later that I started like taking classes and stuff like that for acting for film. And that was several movies later. So everything that I did on that movie specifically was guessing and watching other people, because no one talked to me. I just did my work. They were so method. They were just hanging out with each other. I wasn't included in any of those groups. I had a couple of people that I really liked, but they were behind the scenes folks. Cliff Booker did my hair. I can't remember the name of the girl that did my hair and hair, but my makeup, she was awesome. Ruth, and it was behind the scenes people that I befriended. And honestly, throughout my career, that's where my friendships are usually made. I think it's because ultimately I'm probably naturally a better producer, director than I am anything. I just didn't know that, but that's what I was always drawn to, the behind the scenes people.
Obviously, you stood out in this movie because of the fact that you just have an amazing voice when it comes to the jazz performances. Is it true they offered you a record contract after this film?
Yeah, it was Columbia. I had a record deal. There were a lot of things happening behind the scenes that I don't discuss. But it didn't work out. It got shelved.
No.
I'll just leave it there. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, at the end of the movie, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen it, Denzel ends up with Joao Lee at the end. Do you think that your character and Wesley Snipes ever had a happily ever after?
No, I think that they were both users. I mean, I didn't particularly love my character. She was a singer like me and an actress like me, but nothing like me. I think she was quite what's the word? A person that goes for it. You know what I'm saying? She was a hustler,
Mhm.
and he was a hustler, and I think they saw opportunity in each other. He
Okay.
recognized he recognized the fact that she could do something for his career, and she knew that he could do something for hers. And oftentimes, proximity opens doors for romantic flings that don't necessarily equal to love. So I never got that they were going to be a forever couple. I just thought they'd probably work together and sleep around for a while.
Okay.
I was on your Instagram recently and I saw that there was a post you did where it's you and Tim Robbins in a scene from Jungle Fever, and you said that those scenes got cut out of the film. Are you able to say what happened there? Because I mean that was like an interesting addition to have you possibly in that movie.
Well, I made some personal decisions that some folks didn't agree with. So I was supposed to play a different character, and they took that role or he took that role from me and gave me a smaller role, which was playing the part of Wesley's secretary, and and then cut it out. I don't think there was ever an intention to put it in. Um, so there was some petty shit.
Oh wow.
Well, this is again another jump question.
Mhm.
You were in a movie named The Sweeper with C. Thomas Howell, and you
Oh my
have
God.
yes, and you have one scene in the film, and it brings such life to the film. And I was just wondering, was there ever any other scenes that you filmed that were cut out of the film? Because honestly, you're one of the best things in the film, and you're only in one scene. Mm.
It's funny because I had, first of all, never seen it. I've never seen the film, so I don't even know. But I was only in that scene. But
uh,
what was the girl? So they had a writer for that movie, but then they
mhm.
brought in this girl to write that scene. I don't know why. Like I said, I don't even remember the movie. I remember it. The reason why I remember it at all is because I loved the scene. I don't remember what I said. I don't remember it. But the woman who wrote that scene, supposedly, this is what they said, was Quentin Tarantino's girlfriend. And she actually is who influenced Quentin Tarantino's writing style.
Oh.
And that's why I loved it so much, not because of that, but because of the writing style. And it was very reminiscent of Quentin Tarantino.
Yes, definitely.
And so that's why I did it, because I loved the scene so much. It was phenomenally written. I don't remember it, but I remember that it was phenomenally written, and I was happy to do it just because it was something that I thought if anybody ever watched this movie, it would be a scene they would remember. So obviously it did.
Exactly.
But I never saw it. But I never saw, but it was great writing, and but it was his movie. So I wish I remembered it. I wish I'd seen it.
It's on Prime Video if you ever want to watch.
Oh, thank you. I'll go look it up.
You're welcome.
That's terrible. Okay, I'll look it up. Yeah, that was it was like I said, she came in to write one scene, and I think it was because I was being a cameo. I was cameoing in that, and they wanted to give me a well-written scene, and they did. But it's like, well, why didn't she write the whole thing? You know?
Exactly.
Mhm. That
now,
happens often. Oh, that happens.
So going into One False Move and playing Fantasia, what attracted you to that? Because you're playing somebody that is sort of caught up in the whole situation with Billy Bob Thornton, and yet you're also a little bit complicit in the violent activities that go on. So what drew you to that character?
Well, when I first got that the audition for that, I was still Mo Better had not come out yet. It was nobody knew it was going to do it. It did. No, it was just totally unexpected because it was so different from Do the Right Thing, and we knew that critically we'd have some haters for that because people like to stick you into one way of doing things, and it was something totally different. But I auditioned for that movie at that point, and I got the script. And Billy Bob Thornton and his partner, I can't remember his name, wrote. It was maybe, I won't say now the best, but for a long time, the best script I'd ever read. And it was an epic. It wasn't a short film noir. It was, if they did it in full, it would have been a 2-hour saga. It was beautifully written. My character, oh my gosh, there was so many monologues and so much said. And because that's how Billy writes. He writes big. And oh my gosh, it was just a beautiful character and a beautiful movie. And it stayed that way. And I was at the time, I was right out of college. So I'm still working like a college student. I had a coach. I memorized the entire script, and I just really, and then I got the role. I got the role. And then when we got to Arkansas to start shooting it, we were given a completely new script, completely pared down to hardly anything. It's what it became. But it was the same story, the same characters, but not the same script. Everything I said was gone. It was just what it became, which is very good, by the way. It's just not what it was. So when I took that movie, I thought, this is my Academy Award. I thought, this is it. Already, I'm going to get an Academy Award because that's how well written it was. But the director, Carl Franklin, did not want to make that kind of film. And he didn't tell Billy he was going to change it. But he completely whittled it down to the bare bones and gave it to us the first day we got there. Had to relearn everything and try to erase all that I'd learned. But the good news was all that I'd learned informed who she was. That's why she was such a layered character, because I knew her so well. I knew her so intimately because that's how Billy Bob wrote her. But Carl took all the words away, but I could still bring forth that essence in with, it was like somebody did all my background work for me on this character. It was all in the words, and they were all got taken away, but I still had the essence of all that world within me. And what I loved about the character, I'm very picky about the movies that I do. And sometimes it hasn't always worked out, but I'm very picky not to do films that don't have some redemption, that don't have some hope, that don't, so I can play a really awful human being, but if the movie is about hope and about change and about evolution, then it's okay. And that movie it was about change. And so I loved it for that, even though I never liked Fantasia. She wasn't a good person. She was pretty freaking awful. She put her friends in horrific danger, but it was all out of desperation to getting back to her kid, you know.
Mhm. So
I really loved your vulnerability towards the end, the scene you have with Bill Paxton. Do you have any specific memories of working with him?
It was crazy. I have to be honest, doing that movie was not easy. It was very, very difficult. The tension was on 10. Um, Fighting was constant. It was very difficult. The director was not a fan of mine. He had someone else in mind. So he was an amazing director. So, so good. But he didn't like me. And it was very obvious. And so it was really hard doing that movie. It was a difficult process. But I think all of that fed into the movie. It worked for that movie. We were able to use all those fights and that drama. It was thick as a piece of bread. It was like it was there. It was real. But when Bill, first of all, God bless him, he is a phenomenal person. I really, really cared for him. It was funny because they had to pull him back. He was too big for the character.
Mm.
His natural personality was bigger than a hurricane. So, to the credit of the director, he kept pulling him back because he's like, nobody's going to believe that's a real person. It's like, but it is a real person, and it doesn't matter. We don't want that. So he was constantly pulling him back, more subtlety, more subtlety. So when we did our scenes, it was like, and plus, I'll tell you guys a story. I don't know how many times I've told this publicly. I don't think I ever have. But when I was a child, I had really messed up teeth. I had a dental disease. And my parents, we weren't wealthy and they didn't want to pay all that deductible. So my teeth were jacked up for a while. So when I was in 8th grade, I got some work done, but it was temporary. Then I did Mo Better Blues. I got some work on, but it was temporary. While we're shooting this scene with he and I in the kitchen, my front tooth falls out of my mouth.
wow.
Right. I mean, I have a tooth there, but it's whittled down and for the work that's done, right? So we couldn't get the whole other side of the scene. We had only shot one side of the scene and we couldn't get the coverage because I couldn't show my mouth. And my boyfriend at the time had broken up with me. He found the phone number for the set, called me, and broke up with me. So I'm bawling, I'm freaking out, I'm devastated. And then this happens. So it was crazy, but it's all in there. People comment on that scene all the time. It's because there was so much going on when we shot it. It was insane. And plus I was getting sick because we had shot all the end part at the end, the death scenes. We shot them the day before and it was freezing outside. And I had on this little pink dress and I'm literally laying on the cold ground for 8 hours while they're shooting with the crane and they're shooting all this stuff. I got so sick. So I'm sick. My tooth is jacked up. My boyfriend's broken up. It was hell. It was the worst ever. I'll never forget it. It was a terrible, terrible night, but it was a great night for cinema because we got a phenomenal scene out of it.
True. True.
Yeah.
Mhm.
My question, I guess Did you feel like for a little while after those first 2 films, you got maybe a little typecast as a femme fatale?
Yeah, with the work that I did, I actually didn't work a whole lot. Um, After that, it took some time for me to get back into the independent groove. I
Okay.
I did a movie with Nick Cassavetes.
Mhm.
I'm totally forgetting the name of the guy, the film, the company that we worked for, but it was he was known as the this was, before independent was really established, independent movies. And he was known for independent films, and his films were either super good or super terrible. And he told me, I'll never forget when I met him, he's like, you know what? He said, Cynda, he said, this is either the first stop for an actor or the last stop for an actor. He said, I think this is a first stop for you. And we did this musical where I got to sing a lot. Um, but I think I was pretty fortunate. The first few films, not even really. I mean, one, two, maybe the third film was totally different. I played a deaf mute runaway slave. Yeah, in that film. The fourth film, I was kind of sexy. So they were sprinkled in, but I also only my true fans have seen most of my work. I have played a lot of different characters. A lot.
Sure.
But I did do my share of nudity in the beginning. Yeah, Mo Better's kind of set that up. And so, and even some movies I did, it wasn't my body. I would have body doubles, but everybody would always assume it was me because, you know, that's, I was a sex symbol for sure. Um, but no, I wouldn't say I was typecast because I did a lot of films that were very not sexy at all. Not at all. Mhm.
I gotta ask you about Gang in Blue, and the reason why is because there's been movies, of course, where you have 2 directors instead of 1, and one sharing different responsibilities than the other. But this is the father-son team of Melvin Van Peebles and Mario Van Peebles. What was that dynamic for you on set to work with the father and son team like that?
Well, all I'll say is one of my most difficult experiences, and I have had a lot. I didn't have a good time on that project. Um, and again, a situation where the director didn't like me. You know what I mean? And he didn't think I was hard or stern enough. And there were other things going on at the same time. I had a really hard time on that film. It wasn't fun. It was terrible. For me personally, I almost quit the business at that point because it was such a difficult thing for me to do. And then they ended up dubbing my voice. It wasn't even my voice. It was someone else. They
Wow.
had a voice actor come on and completely dub my voice without telling me. I found out when they asked me to do publicity and I went and I watched the movie. I'm like, who the hell is that? That's not me. That's not me. And her vocal performance did not match my performance at all. And it's so funny because I've had more people that know me say, who was that?
You know what? Full transparency, that's how I felt. I'm like, "You were so good in More Better Blues and One False Move. This it seems like you were kind of phoning it in, and now I know why."
Because I wasn't, it wasn't me. The vocal performance was somebody else. And because he kept saying that my voice wasn't low enough to be a FBI agent. And I was like, what does that mean? My voice. No, if I'm going to be honest, I had not truly found my voice yet. I had a very soft spoken voice at that point. I was still shy. I hadn't found me yet. And so yes, I was definitely softer than maybe, the stereotypical cop on TV kind of thing. But vocally, I grew up with law enforcement. My father's a cop, FBI, police, everywhere. They had all kind of voices.
Exactly.
The voices don't indicate that you're a cop or not, or a FBI or not. So, yeah, it was not a good experience for me. I don't even watch it. I've never seen it. You know, after I started watching and I was like, that's not me. I was like, I can't do this to myself. So, you know,
Mm,
it was not, there's so much to that experience that, I'll keep to myself, but it was definitely maybe one of the hardest things I've ever done. And it was more so the son than the father. The father was kind of the good cop and he was the bad cop. So it was,
mm. I'm sorry for that experience, and even though I wasn't involved,
yeah,
but
yeah,
sorry that
no.
happened
I
to you.
mean, did you directors want what they want? And and I don't know why they hired me. I really don't. I don't know that they did. I think maybe the studio wanted me.
Uh,
Because at the time I was, kind of rolling, and I think that it might not have been their choice, and because literally I was too fat. There was nothing I could say right. I was not hard enough. I wasn't mean enough. It was constant. I wasn't good enough for that role, but I was like, why am I here? I'm glad to be here, and I'm getting paid, but why am I here? But I think sometimes, directors don't, especially in film, don't have as much control. Well, that's more TV. They don't have as much control as they don't have as much control. But if it's a studio film, the studio often will push their agenda on creative people, and that's not really fair all the time. And so, I have to always take that into consideration. I don't think I was their choice.
no, okay.
Mhm.
Unfortunately. Now I don't know if this is true, but this is according to I remember reading an article once in Premiere Magazine that when Tamara Davis was making Bad Girls, she had specifically written and cast you in that film. And I was just wondering how true that was.
Damn, y'all are bringing up all the hard shit.
Sorry.
She wanted me in that movie. I was in that movie. And I'll just say one of the stars despised me. And
Okay.
I was too good. I was too fine. I was too many things. And I was going to take away her Academy Award if I was in a movie. And so had me fired, the whole Black storyline cut out,
Mm,
um, and completely had the movie rewritten, had the cast changed around, wasted tons of money. And then it was not well received because it wasn't what she had written, and she got fired too. All of us did.
Yeah.
Everybody got put off because this person had that kind of control. And I'm not going to say there's an idea of what kind of control there was. Um,
Uh,
mhm.
but yeah, it was rough. It was another. I have a lot of books in me that I don't write, but yeah, that was and it was sad because I think it could have been her Academy Award and she'd have just
Mhm.
not
No.
been so intimidated and insecure. I think that there would have been the Academy Award that she wanted. Yeah, I think it would have been if she'd have left it alone. Because
Mm,
I'm a good team player. I'm an ensemble actor. I love doing stuff, and I wanted to support, but I was there was a lot of insecurity.
Again, sorry for bringing up that bad memory. Also,
Oh my God, I can't believe
I,
I'm
I'm
talking
gonna
about all this stuff.
I'm gonna try another project. Hopefully, good memories. How did you get involved and caught up with Milky with us?
Okay, here we go. Finally,
Okay.
that was a great experience. That was a great experience. Darren Scott had written this script, and in the script, he wrote when he was describing the character, he wrote someone like Cynda Williams. And so when his agent saw that, they were like, well, why not Cynda Williams? And they're like, really? You think I can get her? And he's like, yeah. So they set up a dinner with us and we met, and he told me about the thing. And, by then I got to read the script first kind of person, but I really liked him. He was very kind to me. And I was very wary of directors at this point because I've had so many difficult experiences. But he treated me well. He treated me with respect. And then I liked his script. I was a part of the casting experience when it comes to the lead guy. I thought they were going to go a different direction than they did. But I found out many years later, actually, as late as soon as last year, I just found out from talking to Darren that he wanted it to be kind of like a subtle comedy, and I didn't know that. So the casting of Bokeem was perfect for that because he was so quirky. He is so quirky. It really took it into this little, surprisingly funny hood movie, very different than a hood movie, but yet got those elements.
Yes.
So I understood, but I didn't at the time because I was like, he's funny. He's not really serious. It's so big, But I loved him also. He was freaking awesome kid. He was so much younger than me, new to the business still, more of a rock and roller than anything else. He played the guitar constantly. Suburban kid, just not a thug at all. Just a really nice guy. And Darren was awesome. Cast and crew, everybody involved was lovely. I really enjoyed working on that project. It was a great time. And it's funny because my fans from the 40 years old fans, that's the movie to talk about. The older folks talk about Mo Better. The younger folks talk about Caught Up. They know all the lines. And there were some some parts in that movie that were very uncomfortable for me, but because everybody was so cool, it was okay, It was very, very over the top sexually, but that was the character, that's who she was. She was another nasty, and she wasn't a nice person either. But the experience, it may have been one of my best. It may have been one of my best.
Okay, well, I mean, at least you had two roles in it. One was nice,
Yeah.
one was not so nice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that was and actually I've had my share of some difficulties, but by then all the worst stuff had been done already. All the hardest. My younger in my life, it was far more difficult, and I still go through things. I thought by this age I am now that I'd be done with all the expectations and all that kind of stuff, but that still happens. People want more than you to work. That's for sure. They want you to work other ways, and I'm just not willing to go there. But yeah, I had some difficult stuff, but I got through it. And I got to when I was actually working, I was always having fun. I loved it. I think there's only a couple of movies that it was just awful actually doing the movie, the actual project. I was like, how did I do this? How did I do this? Um, but you're gonna have those things where you question your own choices. But for the most part, I'm happy with all the experiences, even the difficult ones, because I got something out of all of it,
Okay.
Mhm.
Let me ask you this, because obviously you have a huge body of work of independent films, some that we've seen, some that are very difficult to find. Is there
Mhm.
one movie among all the rest that you wish more people would see if they could find it?
Um, One of my favorite movies is called When Do We Eat? That was a movie that I did with it's called Sneak Previews Entertainment. I actually did 3 movies with them. They did Relax It's Just Sex. That was one of the films. They did another one, what was it called? I was in another one. I can't remember what it's called. And then When Do We Eat? When Do We Eat was special because it's a true ensemble piece. Michael Lerner, Leslie Ann Warren, Jack Klugman. A lot of the younger actors are now stars. At the time, they were just young. And I got to, now this is the time I did really start to get stereotyped. There was a section of my phase of my, oh no, of my independent, hopefully I don't get cut off. Somebody's trying to call. In my independent body of work where I played a lesbian a lot. I played lesbians like 7 times in a row. And so I did get to a point where I told my agents, okay, that's enough. Okay, I don't want to get stuck. Not in I don't be a lesbian every movie. I just don't. So let's switch it up here and get back to being somebody's mom or something. But When Do We Eat was it was such a fun film. It was difficult because of the dynamics sometimes, because it's a comedy, but there was a lot of dysfunction in this family. It's about a Seder dinner gone wrong. And I'm the one Christian there. And I had so much fun on that movie. I think people should see it. I think they would really, first of all, they would learn something about the Jewish faith a little bit and what they do for Passover. And then the dysfunction is hilarious. Yeah. And I got to work with Jack Klugman, and that was such a blessing.
Well, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I know. Oh, no, Andre, if you want to go
No, go
first.
ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I know that recently you started producing and co-writing projects. How did that come about?
Well, I actually have been writing for many years, but I wrote a lot for me more than anything else. I just love to write. I'm good at it because I was a reader, big reader, and I always wanted to be a novelist. But that door didn't open. It was more towards the acting, singing, dancing back in those days. So I always wrote. And then when I first moved to LA, I wrote a screenplay that Showtime picked up, and then they fired everybody. Everybody, they cleaned house. So the woman and the team that was producing my film all got canned, and so my stuff got shelved. But that let me know all the way back then, and I was in my 20s, that, yeah, I am a good writer. So I kept writing, but I never really pushed the agenda. And then I started working on independent films with a lot younger people, and they would come to me with these whack scripts, and I'm like, I ain't doing this. You want help writing it? And I would rewrite stuff. In one movie, I wrote all my scenes, which didn't work because it left a very imbalanced film. Because all the scenes I was in were good, and all the scenes I wasn't in were bad. So you know, but I started doing a lot of writing that way, and then I just wrote. I had several ideas of my own on different life experiences and changes, and I wrote screenplays from that. And um, when people would ask me what I was doing, I would say I was writing. So they were like, well, let me see samples. So I started showing people my samples of some of my writing, and I started getting hired as a writer at that point. So that's what I've done more than anything. Since I started raising my daughter, by the time my daughter started first grade, I knew that we needed to settle down and give her some stability. Even though it really truly didn't happen till junior high, I just spent a lot of time writing at that point, and writing for other people. And oftentimes when you write for other people, they take credit for writing, even though they don't. So that's why the co-writing, because usually, they have the story idea, and I write scripts. A lot of that stuff's being pitched. Nothing has been produced yet. And then the producer stuff, uh, oftentimes they'll come to me and they're like, well, can you be in this, but we can only pay you that. I'm like, no, you got to pay me. more than that. And so they'll, everything I do, I'm usually consulting
Okay.
on things. So consultant producer usually. But lately, last couple years, I've started more into the developmental production side of things, developing scripts and helping people, think about how to pitch everything, the pitch decks, and how to, casting and attaching people, and some money stuff. Knowing investors that are willing to pitch in and help get some independent films made, which is usually non-traditional finance sources. And I'm quite good at it because I know so many people. I don't have a lot of friends, but I have a lot of acquaintances that like me a lot. And so I rarely ask for anything. So when I've been put in a position to, like, for instance, I'm working on a huge project right now that I don't want to speak too much on because there's so many parts to it. There's the
Mhm.
film and music part is just a small part. It's kind of a world building project. But
Okay.
they started calling me about, helping them find someone to do this music, someone to sing that music, someone to direct this part, someone to do this, and then it transitioned into the writing of this script and that thing, and it just seemed like every time they had a need, I could meet it. I knew a person that could do this. I knew a person that could do that. And he was like, you're producing, right? I said, I am. He's like, yeah, that's what you're doing. You're producing. And so it's kind of blossomed that way. But I really want to this next year, especially focus on some of the things that I've written. Because I want because I've written for other people, but I would never write those stories. Like I've done a lot of true crime. That's not me, you know. I write that stuff well, but I tell a different kind of story. So I have one script that we wrote I'm finishing the edit on a shorts series I'm going to do that I'm really excited about. So I'm producer on that, director on that, writer. I'm not in it. I don't know if I'll ever be in it. But I wrote it for some close folks that are in my life that I wanted to see have our opportunity. And it's funny. So it's been a nice transition. If I'll probably act, if the work is good. Most of the movies that have come to me the last several years are phenomenally written scripts. I'm getting far better material now than I did when I was a younger actress. But they're all independent, and it's been rough to get anything made the last few years between
Yeah.
COVID, the strikes, and on, people being afraid to invest. It's hard to get things made. So
Well,
if
I
it
want
is,
to ask you
then I'll be
something.
there. Mhm,
Mm, mm,
mhm.
It just kind of relates to what you're talking about. So, like, when you started out, there was that whole Black Renaissance with Spike, John Singleton, Robert Townsend, and just this idea that there was going to be more of an explosion of Black films. And then it kind of went away after a while. Now we've seen in the last couple of years Ryan Coogler, Ava DuVernay, and more diversity in films. Do you feel like things have improved and gotten better, or are we still in a challenging phase?
I think that Hollywood period is transitioning out. And it's just the model isn't working anymore for music or for film or for television. It's just not working anymore. Independent filmmaking is the way. And with independent filmmaking are open doors for all kinds of talent. And so I don't necessarily think it was consciously and willfully done. I just think that now, in order to survive, creative people have to create. And so because of that, there's a lot of work being done. Now, we've gone through a short phase of a lot of garbage being done. So now, hopefully, these people that have become quite rich after doing that kind of work are going to transition into doing better work. Now that they know how to do it, the money is there, the programming needs are there. I'm hoping that I have a film that's out right now that I did last year, I think it was. Um, it's a very small role, little cameo thing, but I wanted to do it because it was out of Detroit and it was not a hood movie. It's called The Midas Code, and it's really it has to do with crime and all of that, but it's white collar. So it's more like a Robin Hood kind of story, current day Robin Hood story. And so shifts are happening, and there's no excuse anymore to not do anything because the opportunities are great right now to do things. It's just so much, but I don't think it was a given to anybody. I think the times have required us to step up.
Um, well, I guess, well, obviously it's my question, but when it comes to like roles like in movies like, hold on, let me just introducing Dorothy Dandridge in
Mhm.
Courage to Love. You're acting, but do you also feel like maybe the costumes and hair help like kind of define the character and role that you're playing? Mm.
Oh yeah, all of those aspects help you become the characters. And that doesn't even have to be period. It can be any time frame. What you're wearing helps you become the person. How your hair is makes you feel more like the person. The makeup, all of that is a part of it. But period, it's a more obvious thing.
Okay.
And you're walking around in corsets, you're gonna feel different. I was telling a story recently. It was really funny to me. I might even share it on my showbiz and things, but when I did A Courage to Love, um, Diane Carroll uh, is was just blissful. I loved her very much, but she was a true diva. She really, really is a diva, but the old school kind, the kind that you just gotta respect. She's not just
Mhm.
being nasty. She's regal, and they were begging her to let them do her makeup because we were
Mhm.
trying to be authentic to the period. So that means not a lot of makeup. And she thought, I am doing my eyes. I don't care what you think. I am wearing my mascara. It was really funny. So, she refused to go the authentic road for that. But she's like, I am too old for that. No, no, no. My eyes are the way I make them. But, I think it was helpful for me to not have all of that, to make it, just the little stuff that make your cheeks a little rosy because they just didn't have that stuff back then. And so that definitely lends itself to being more realistic and in character. Uh, but it's fun to play dress up. It's fun to do that. And it does help you with the characters. Yeah.
Mhm.
So as we wrap up, my last question for you is for actors and actresses that are starting out in the business today, what advice would you give them?
Well, I think that now is a time like no other when it comes to opportunity, if you're willing to put in the work. Before you had to get lucky like I did and get your foot in the door, sometimes based on pictures and resume and old film that you've done, but that's not the way it is anymore. You can be your own agent, your own manager, your own marketing director. You can do it all for yourself. You're going to be your own writer, do your own content. Most stars now have been self-made stars. They are not stars made by a system. So if you're willing to do the work, stay grounded, keep your head on straight, realize that, a splash in the pan is a splash in the pan. It doesn't have to last. But if you're willing to do the work to be educated in whatever way you can, because you don't have to go to four-year school like I did anymore. You can go to a conservatory. You can take workshops. You can take classes online. I think it's best to work one-on-one with people. You can coach with me. There's a lot of things you can do to learn and to be good. So just doing it is not where it ends if you want longevity. Just doing it might open the door and get you get you viral a few times. But keeping a career and opening yourself up for being on other established programming all over the world, then you need to have some education and work. But stay grounded, find whatever you believe in that has nothing to do with fame or money or being seen, but keeps you grounded and keeps your heart connected to something that brings you joy. You have to have that first. And then all the rest will fall in place if you work at it.
Well said. And as we close out, I just want to thank you for sitting down with us, talking to us, being real. Obviously, certain things we're not going to ask, but thank you for at least giving, true answers, your honest opinion. And we just want to say that, we grew up watching your work, and you are truly a jack of all trades as an artist. And I'm getting a little emotional here, but but I just want to thank you so much for being you and being out there in the world and just sharing your talents with the world.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you. Thank you,
Thank
Andre.
you.
Oh, and is there anything you'd like to plug? Because I think you have a podcast too.
Yeah, I have you can follow me at Cynda Will on Instagram and Facebook, and at Cynda Williams on 615 TikTok. You can follow me in any of those places, and I tell about everything I do. I have a show on Thursdays, a live Instagram show called Live and Direct with Sin and Friends. And then I do a show, Adult Conversations with Cynda family and friends, once a month. And I'm getting ready to do a Showbiz Sin series on YouTube. So that'll be pretty much about show business. So yeah, just follow me and you'll know what I'm up to. Thank you so
Most
much.
definitely. And thank you.
Yeah, and one last thing I just want to say. So I remember as a kid going to my local video store and seeing the poster for One False Move and be like, "Who is that? She's very pretty." And I just want to say, you still look radiant today. So I'm glad
Yes.
you're still
Oh,
here and still working.
thank you. I appreciate that so much. I really
Yeah.
do. All right. But you guys be well. Thank you so much.
Yes,
You
thank you,
too.
Cindy. I really
Thank you very
appreciate
much.
it.
If you like this review, please be sure to like and hit subscribe to be alerted to new episodes in the future.